Settle it for me. Caribbean in October, balcony door open while sleeping, or should I not? Should not. Imagine this. You close your eyes, unless you're driving. If you're driving, do not close your eyes. But otherwise, close your eyes and imagine you're in your balcony stateroom, laying in your bed, the balcony doors open, the ocean breeze sweeping in, and everything's amazing. Your spouse walks up to you and goes, "Oh, Tim, this is the most beautiful vacation in the world. Thank you for doing this. You're an amazing husband." And you say, "Of course, I know." Okay, that's the idea that everybody has with this, right? The reality is there's two really good reasons why I don't recommend keeping the balcony door open while you're sleeping in your balcony room. Number one, humidity. So while the ocean breeze may or may not keep you comfortable, when the balcony door is open, the air conditioning stops. So now you're totally beholden to the ocean breeze cooling you off or not. And with the humidity, even if it is sort of cool out, it'll still feel sticky. So that's number one. Number two, and equally more important, there are birds, and the birds don't mind coming in if the door is open. So that alone is the reason. So no, I don't recommend it. I think it's nice to, if in the daytime you want to have it open for a little bit, sure, but I don't recommend sleeping with the door open over there. So, which ports are an absolute must when looking at Alaska cruise? What are some things to keep in mind when booking? Good question, Eduardo, and we could spend an hour talking about this. I definitely think Juneau is a top one. Not only that, Eduardo, which glaciers you're going to would also should be high on your list. Whether it's Icy Strait Point, whether it is Dawes Glacier, whether it is Hubbard Glacier, the more glaciers you have, the better. That's really the most important thing. In terms of the ports you're visiting, Juneau, Ketchikan, or wonderful Skagway, they're all great. I don't think there's really a dud in the group. So I would just look at an itinerary that offers you the most time in port and or visiting glaciers. That would really be important right there. And also, Eduardo, check out we have a really in-depth article all about Alaska. If you go to RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com/Alaska, RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com/Alaska for more information about that. Why do I love Mariner so much? It's a good question. And you know what, Stephanie? It's kind of like, it's a very subjective thing. But number one, I always loved what Royal Caribbean did with the amplification. The ship got amplified in 2018. They added a bunch of new venues. I really like that. Number two, it sails out of Port Canaveral, which is about an hour from my house, so that's not bad at all. The size of the Voyager class is really a great size, plenty to do. It's a big ship, lots of activities without being like overly large, and of course the value. The price, like as an example, Stephanie, I paid for 5-night cruise, and I booked this 2 weeks ago. 5-night cruise for two people. It was $500. I mean, out the door for an inside room. That's crazy good. So, what's the best cruise for small children aged 3 and below? I think you just want to make sure there's a lot of great ships out there. Make sure the ship has a nursery. Make sure the ship has a baby splash pad area, so a splash away bay that has that JT. That's really the two most important factors, amenities that you want. Beyond that, you can make arguments about a lot of things, but I think those two are the most important. So make sure that whatever ship you go on, it has both those venues for you. So, is there something on board that I haven't done? Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, I've never done the flow rider. Not that I want to do the flow rider, but I've never done it. I have not done the rock climbing wall. That I would like to do. Maybe when it's not like 7,000 degrees out like it typically is in Florida. Maybe on a group cruise, Pippa, when it's, in the winter time, I'd be like open to doing something like that. But that's the great thing about Royal Caribbean. Always new things to try, which I absolutely love about that. What's the most you think you should pay for the water park? It's a good question because, of course, Ryan, I'm sure Ryan is talking about the water park at Perfect Day at Coco Key. And the answer also depends on, have you done the water park before? Like, I've done the water park many, many times. So my threshold for how much I think the water park I pay for is going to be lower than somebody who's never done it before. You've never done it before. My advice is whatever the price is, just book it. It's fun. It's enjoyable. I think you'll get you'll enjoy your time there, right? And it's just, it is what it is kind of situation. If you've done it before, I mean, right now the pricing for a lot of things, are just, up. As an example, I'm going to expand your question and give you a good example. Cocoa Beach Club. I bought the Cocoa Beach Club pass for this cruise. I think it was like $170, something like that, which is much more than I ever paid for it. And I used to tell people, oh, if it's, above $100, don't pay for it. Doesn't matter. That advice doesn't hold up anymore. It's kind of like me saying, you should only get gas if gas is 99 cents a gallon. Like, those days are gone too. So you can't hold yourself to those standards anymore. If you're on vacation, you've never done it before, I say go for it. When is the best time to request a last-minute cruise deal? You know, it depends on a lot of factors. There isn't a set answer to you for that. Number one, there may not be a deal. Number two, what is a deal in your opinion? Number three, what availability is left for you at the last minute? Because cruises are booking up a lot more lately, well before the last minute. So you kind of run a game there. My advice is when you find a cruise that you looks a good sailing on a good ship that you want to go and it's at a price that you think is reasonable, book it. Playing the game of like, will it drop, will it not? As an example, for this cruise, I got a great deal, but that was just because I got lucky and happened to find one at the last minute, right? You can't always bank on that. So, can you explain a little bit about the price differences for a solo cruiser and not? Yeah, basically, if you're cruising solo, you're going to pay something called the single supplement fee. Basically, the cruise industry prices their cruises based on double occupancy. The fact that you're cruising by yourself, great, but they're still going to charge you essentially for that other person. You're going to pay the single supplement, which you end up paying for two people regardless, right? There are sometimes cabins available on some ships, not all of them, that have studio cabins. These are rooms designed for one person. And in that situation, you don't pay a single supplement fee. In this cruise, as an example, I paid for somebody who didn't come on the cruise. I paid for my wife. She's not here. She was never coming on this cruise. I booked her anyway because it was cheaper. Because sometimes that single supplement fee can really mess with the pricing, in my opinion. So I paid for my wife, who's not here. She was on paper. She's on the manifest. She's not going to be here, but and that's it. So there's different strategies, and again, a good travel agent can help you out with that and kind of compare and contrast that. But essentially, if you're cruising solo, cruising by yourself, you should probably expect to pay for a second person regardless. It's just the way the industry is. If you accrued enough Crown and Anchor points with Crown and Anchor Society, get to 340, then you actually get a discount on that. But I'm going to assume, Sailor, you're probably nowhere near there. So, yeah, hope that makes sense. Now, do you think we'll see smaller ships like Jewel that are not expedition ships? I don't. Maybe, in the 20 years from now when the Vision and the Radiance class ships are all retired and sold off, but anytime soon, I don't think so. The bottom line is, Pete, number one, economy of scale. Royal Caribbean makes more money with the bigger ships than they will with the small ship. Number two, if you do want a small ship feel like a 2,000 passenger vessel, well, don't forget you have Celebrity Cruises, you have Silver Sea that offer those kinds of cruising as well with newer ships in that size. On that note, we're going to wrap up our live broadcast here. Thank you so much for joining us here on YouTube. If I didn't answer your question, feel free to go post your question on our message boards over at royalcaribbeanblog.com. And of course, we'll be live again next Monday right here on YouTube as well to answer even more questions and talk more Royal Caribbean with all of you. Until then, have a great week, everybody. And we'll talk to you very soon right here on YouTube. Bye, everybody.